Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I was planning to make a new whole garment, but then I thought, well, maybe I'll do another zipper tutorial because I already have two zipper tutorials up, the blind zipper and the zipper in a fly. And I got many comments on that, even from someone here on YouTube who has a rather big sewing channel, that said she was very helped with my tutorial about a fly with a zipper in a fly, because very many people think that is very difficult, and I have some tricks that make it really easy. And there's one more zipper that I haven't made a tutorial of, so I thought maybe I'll do that first. Then we have all the zippers in a tutorial on my channel, and then you can search for it if you need it when you're making some garments. So we're going to do that now, and then for the next tutorial we're going to go on with the whole garment. And I was already working on the black cape, so that will be the next tutorial, and it will be very nice. But first we're going to do the last zipper, and that is a zipper in a seam. I think it is the most common zipper, the most zipper that is most frequently used. It's the one that I use least, because I don't really like how it looks, but it's very easy. I think everyone thinks this is the most easy one, so I'm going to show you how you can do it. And what you need is, normally it is in the back seam, mid back, or it's in the side seam, it doesn't really matter. So make sure you have your two parts finished. So serge the edges or use a zigzag stitch that the edges are serged. Then you put them right sides together, and what you do is you pin your mark where you want your zipper to end. And there's also some confusion. You don't need a zipper on the right length. I buy my zippers in bulk. That means I buy them with hundreds. And then I get all kinds of colors, all kinds of lengths, and it doesn't matter. Then I can choose the right color, and I make my zipper the right length. Because you can very easily, you can also, of course, not make them longer, but you certainly can make them shorter. And it's just by marking how long you want it to be, make a few very tight zigzag stitches on that length, and then you can just cut it off, the rest of it that you don't need. So no matter if you have a long zipper, just make it in the right length. And this color is also not great, but for the tutorial it doesn't matter. Make sure when you do this type of zipper, your thread is the exact same color as your fabric, otherwise it won't look nice. So make sure you do that. I don't have, but for the tutorial it's even better when the color is not the same, because you can then better see it. So measure maybe from your pattern that you said I want my zipper till there. Now I do it just on the length of my zipper that I have. This is where it has to stop, at least where the what is it, some glue or something on the back of it. Normally it's a metal pin that is on your zipper. So mark that there, and then what you do is you sew the top where the zipper will be with a basting stitch. So that's a really wide stitch till you're marking, and then you do a normal straight stitch, because this will stay intact. This we will open up later. So that's what we're going to do next, and then we're going to pin the zipper in. So the top part, we're going to do a basting stitch. So make sure your settings are okay according to your fabric. We don't do a back stitch here because we're going to take this thread out. So just start and just make your basting stitch to the end where you marked it. There you stop. Then you put it on the normal straight stitch. And then I like to do a back stitch, because this is the end of your zipper and you don't want that to rip open. So you do your back stitch here and then do a straight stitch all the way down. And then what we're going to do is going to iron this seam open. So this whole part here, you're going to give it a good iron that is really nice and flat opened. So I ironed the seam open and it's nice and flat. Then you take your zipper, other side of course, and you put your zipper with the puller on top, of course, just exactly on the seam. And you can do that by just lifting it up and see where your teeth are, and that your teeth are exactly on the seam in the middle. and then you give it a pin like this, that side, and then you go a bit lower and you look where your teeth are, and again pin it in, and like that you go all the way down until you reach the end of the zipper, like that. Then you turn your fabric, and then you mark or your pin where you want your stitching to be. So you're gonna stitch on this side of the seam and on the other side of the seam, and it's just preference how far from the seam you want your stitching to be. Just put a pin in and look if you are still on the length band of your zipper. I am not, so I'm too far from the seam. Sometimes zippers are wider and sometimes they're very small, so I like it more when it's more away from the seam, but now I can't because my zipper is very small. So you have to check that when you put a pin in, it is still attached to your band on this side. So you pin it all the way around, and then I go back to the sewing machine to show you how you're gonna sew that. So now that it is pinned on, I take off my pins on the other side, because otherwise I can break my needle if I touch them. So, and then you take your zipper foot of your machine. Mine look like this, but there are all kinds of different zipper foots. The zipper foot usually has a left and a right side, so depending on where your zipper is, you put it on your machine. And now I want to sew on the left side of my zipper, so I put it like this. And then what you can do is you can adjust the placement of your needle. If like this, in this setting, you cannot reach where you want your stitching to be. And I think when I put it on, it is, well, almost exactly where I want, but not exact. So I put my needle to the left. Then for me it's easier to take on this stripe that my pins are. So see how you can do the nicest stitching. And now for me comes the difficult part, because I have some problems with my coordination, so it's very hard for me to sew a straight line. And normally you can use all kinds of help things like the stripes on your table of your sewing machine, or usually some parts of your zipper foot, of your pressure foot. But in this case the only help you have is this seam, so you have to try to stay as exact from your seam as possible for the whole row, and that is difficult for me. That's why I don't really like this this type of zipper, but I'm gonna do my best. Backstitch first and then go all the way down, make your cross over and go all the way up. Now put your needle down, turn your fabric, go across to the other side. I always count how many times I did one side, and then I have the same space to the seam for the other side. Turn it again, and then we're going back up. And then, as you see, you have a really nice zipper, nicely closed. The only thing is you see the stitching around, and that's why this zipper, sort of a zipper, is not really my favorite. But it looks really nice, and it's for most people very easy to do, and it's quick to do also. And as you see, it falls nicely in the seam when you open it up. And it's a zipper that is very quick to make and a very nice finish. Make sure you always iron your seams very well, because then your garment looks way better and way more professional. So always have your iron on hand when you are sewing, and iron your seams immediately after you make them, then it looks really better than when you don't do that. So if you're not sure about zippers, watch my other tutorials, especially the blind one and the zipper in a fly are very important, because you need to know the tricks how to do it, otherwise it will be a pain in the because then it will give many faults and difficulties. And when you know the tips and tricks, it's very easy to do. And as I said, I like them more than this one, although I think everyone thinks this is the most easiest zipper to do, and I think it is not. But you have now all the 3 zippers there are to do, so I think it will, I hope it will be helpful for you if we're making a garment with a zipper and I go too quick to the next step and you think, oh, how did I do that? How do I have to make that? Then you can go back to one of my tutorials for the zippers, and then you can get some help how to do it. So I hope you like this tutorial. I hope I got some help for you, and please subscribe if you like my videos, give me a comment. I really like to read what you think of it, and in any way I can help. If you have any suggestions what I should make, then also leave a comment and write me what you would like to see. And okay, we're going on next week with the black cape, and I'm very happy to show you when it's done. So I see you next week, and we'll be back on Monday. Thanks for watching. Bye.